All right, we are getting there. All right, we're live. Michael, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. All right. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's full design review board meeting of March 18th, 2025. I'm going to call us to order. We have 5 of our 9 members present. Um, I am going to make, do we have any, do I hear a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Any against? All right, motion passes 5-0. Staff, do we have any meeting minutes to approve?
Yes, we have February 18th, February 25th, March 4th, and March 11th.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve February 18th, February 25th, March 4th, and March 11th meeting minutes?
Second.
All right, there's a motion. Let me do a motion by Camelia, and then can I hear a second?
Second.
Mike B. Oh, there you go, Brian.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any against? All right, motion passes 5-0. I'm looking for any general member comments that don't apply to any of the agenda items tonight. Does anybody have anything? Nobody. All right. Well, then we'll jump into application F, which is our South Lakes high schoolers. I believe Mr. Rando's here to kick them off and then hand it off to usually the well-spoken team. So we will hear from them.
Thank you for the introduction. Sorry, I was on mute there. Didn't catch that. So our team has been busy, as you'll see in their slideshow. They've worked through a lot of concepts and isolating a concept which they'll share with you that is, for the first year, I think will be a success as far as a community-oriented integral part of the sculpture. But I'm going to leave that to them to explain because that's what this is all about. I just want to thank you guys in advance for hearing our students and letting them present. I do wish to ask, and I know this has been asked before by people in Public Art Reston, if there is in the future any way these students can do this in person with you all, it would be such a more impactful learning experience. I understand these days everything's done on Zoom, but they could use the in-person experience. Just wanted to share that. And I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, which is the president of the STEAM team, and that is Stella Ostroff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rando, for the introduction. To begin, like Mr. Rando said, this year we did things quite differently. If we could go to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah, so we took a different approach to the model making process. And in the beginning of the year, for those who aren't aware, we do make several models off of different ideas or things that fascinate us. And this year we kind of chose to take a different route and have a theme that we had people create models for. And we were really wanting to incorporate a kinetic object, kind of similar to last year's plan to use like tree tags that it didn't end up working, but we were really intrigued by that concept. If you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so as Mr. Rando hinted at, we are hoping to make this project more community involved. And STEAM has done 10 successful sculptures within the past 13 years, but we've never, and it's all connected to like a very important issue that we felt needed to be highlighted, but we have never really been able to do a sculpture or a project directly involving the community. And so this year, oh, if we can go back, sorry. This year we wanted to highlight the people of Reston, and because we're just inspired by the place that we live in, but in particular, we also were interested in the way that microorganisms and cells in the body work and how microorganisms and cells work together to support and aid the body in a unique and individual way. And we were kind of seeing that cells and microorganisms as a kind of a metaphor for the community of Reston and as well as the globe, but that more specifically that each individual who lives in Reston adds a diverse and unique addition to better the body and community, the same way that cells and microorganisms make up the essential living that we need to survive. So yeah, if we can go to the next slide. Perfect. Okay, and our next presenters will be Daniel and Connor, if they can pop up.
Daniel, Connor, you there?
Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, you could go first.
All right, sounds good. So these are just some of our original model concepts that we as a team kind of created, and towards the beginning of the year when we were in our really in our design phase, just to try to create like new ideas for the sculpture with like the main idea of what we wanted to build in mind. So a lot of these concepts have like a really like rigid frame that would be made out of the same material, and some sort of flowing element like a net or some like colored piece of fabric. And so we kind of like went along with that idea and like created multiple iterations of it. So these are two of the models that were created using that idea. You can go to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like with these sculptures here, we're trying to like find a way to incorporate creativity with like architectural styles. So in this way, we like added like some netting, like just to show that color off and that creativity that we had. So we basically we're thinking about like different types of things like netting, ripstop, nylon, and stuff like that. But we're like mainly intrigued with the netting because it was easier like to color and have that different showcasing of like our creativity through like geometric shapes and repetition.
And this is the model that we decided to kind of take our inspiration from for the rest of our models, and we were going to like use the concepts from this model to progress forward into what we like reiterated and created for our final model, in which you can see it has like that still rigid framework with the more flowy and also like transparent aspects of a netting or similar fabric.
Connor, can you go into, or Daniel, this rigid frame? What is this rigid frame you guys decided to use from the beginning of the year?
Yeah, so we were kind of set with like a preset like metal frame that we would it would be a lot easier to fabricate with, since we didn't have to deal with like a complex like wooden structure or something. We're going to use metal so that it could also withstand the like nature a lot better, and also for longer, so that it could be possible to reuse the sculpture and place it in a different location once it's taken down.
Next slide there.
Okay, in this ones we did like explore again with the netting and like geometric shapes in the creative sense. We did want to include more repetition here based on like our inspiration on the other model. So you can see here we still have like the triangles on one of them while still adding those little tree tags on them just to kind of like vibrate through the sunlight. And then we also have like little colors through there like netting. And then for the square one, we wanted like to give that 3D dimensional shape and like give the nettings like more to showcase rather than just showing the geometric shape. And the colors here are like used to kind of like just express that more, like using bright colors that are more representative in the day. So it's like easier to see. And here as well, we were like, this was like kind of our like final structures where we kind of like implemented the tree tags onto the like side by side, creating the symmetric forms in each side, but still having like that simpleness into it, just to kind of show the beauty of simplicity and how we can just share that through all this design. And then we were still like discovering for color, but on this is kind of like showing how it would look like digitally on how the structure would be before the tree tags, and here's like a top view of it, how it would look like.
Who's got this slide? Is this still Connor? Is this still you or Andrew?
I believe I was supposed to be called in 2 slides ago. Apologies. I'd like to elaborate more on the structure for this year's, because that's one I think the big points of difference between our last year's the sculptures in previous years and the sculptures in this year's. We've decided this year that we're switching away from timber frames so we can make this sculpture faster and we can make this sculpture stronger. If you go back a slide, actually, I'd like to talk more about that one. Though, yes, you may see it's very different from our physical model, but that's for good reason. We added cross members both in each individual rectangle and across the whole thing to prevent racking, along with our normal tie downs, like our normal tension cords attached to the top. This should be more than enough to support the weight of the aluminum discs that we chose for our community element. If you go 2 slides ahead. Yeah, this one. This is where it's really, really cool. I'd like to talk about this a lot more. We've decided to swap to the key clamp system for putting this whole thing together. What this allows us to do is not only can we take it up and put it down much faster than we could any sculpture in previous years, we can ship it in much smaller elements, making it way easier to put together actually on location. But also, as my team members have previously stated, this could give it an opportunity to live somewhere else, as instead of being made out of timber and having that limited lifespan, it's made out of galvanized steel now and could last outside for easily much longer than its term on the lake. I believe that's it for my piece. I'd like to pass it off to Jaya, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an option we were looking at for color layout. And these are on the right, these are the options for if we were to do a powder coating, which is very durable. These aren't all the options for color, but these are the vibrant ones. Another option that we were looking into is vinyl, because it's less expensive, but it's not as durable as the powder coating. And I think that's Aiden Burks.
Aiden, you with us? Andrew, do you want to take this since you were doing?
I sent them a prompt to unmute. They should see it pop up on their screen.
Hey, sorry, this is the wrong Aiden.
Wrong Aiden, yeah. Is Aiden Burke with us? If not, Andrew, do you want to cover this, or Jaya? You guys did calculations. Burke has
it says Aiden Burks is unmuted. I'm so sorry, I was talking. It was muted.
Yeah, Aiden's having trouble getting on. He's not. Aiden Burke is texting me.
Yeah, do you need us to unmute someone else?
Yeah, Andrew or Jaya. Andrew, you just did calculations with the material.
Yeah, I can most certainly take over for Aiden. Apologies. This year is one of our biggest budget years yet, so we've allowed ourselves to go in for this system. We're looking at about $6,000 altogether, though current estimates may be a little higher, especially with powder coating, if we decide to do that to color the frames. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
it's just going to be a fair bit more than previous sculptures, but for a good reason.
We were looking into powder coating, and it looks like with this model, it'll be about they said 2,000, and along with the M50s, so we're closer to 8,000 with the M50 pieces that we added later to attach the ropes with the aluminum discs.
Who's next? Jocelyn?
Hi. Hello. So basically for Celebrate Wrestling, we're going to be working we're going to be using these aluminum discs. And the basic premise is that they make their own cell and they draw it on a sheet first, and then they transfer over to the disc, and then eventually we put that on the sculpture. We're also going to be working with students at Langston Hughes and Terrasset and elementary school kids, including them in this as well.
Does anybody want to elaborate on these discs?
Oh, they're aluminum discs, so they're very lightweight. Originally, we were going to use stainless steel, but we found that they were too heavy, so we decided to use aluminum.
What's the element holding the discs?
Oh, we're going to be using a rope, and we're thinking of crocheting it. We're still trying to figure that out, but the rope, I forgot what the rope was called, but we're planning using rope that is a pretty strong rope to hopefully withstand the elements and other stuff.
Does anybody want to say anything else in conclusion?
The rope, I think we were leaning more towards it having knots throughout it, to use less rope, and so that it could hold the discs and they were evenly spaced.
May I jump in on that? We have attached to each one's is a fishing leader up top, like the kind they use for deep water fishing that allows fishing lines to pivot. And what that allows these elements to do is not only are they fluttering up and down based on like the motion of the rope that they're attached to, but also it allows them to rotate. So like, because only one side is planned to be patterned by a student, they will like kind of flit in the sun in a really, I believe, aesthetically interesting way. Also, the rope we're using is Dyneema. I think 3/16 inch was what was decided on, with tensile strength of around 1,000 pounds. So there'll be no worries in that department at all.
Well done, guys. Well done. Questions from the board?
Yeah, let me go around the room and see if anyone has any questions. But thank you guys as always. It is a unique structure this year, so I have a question about that. But let me go around the room first. Camelia, do you have any questions for the students?
No questions, just a comment that it was a really great presentation, and I appreciated just hearing all of the concepts, and really excited to see the final product.
All right, Mike B.
I guess my question was, what level of approval were we looking for this evening?
I guess we'll leave that up to you all. I mean, this structure is this is a prefabricated system called it's from a company called Simplified Building Key Clamp. It assembles, as you saw from one of the slides, relatively easily. Like all the other sculptures, the students will tie this down with tension cables, aircraft cables to the platform. The critical thing right now is there's two designs. One has the opening, and the other one is basically a four-sided. The four-sided one, through their calculations that they've been doing recently, I think they're going to break their budget. So they have the first concept with this openness. And if you go back to the cardboard maquette, just go one ahead. Yeah, this is the computer model done with the aluminum tags. Now, the aluminum discs are a play off of the tree tags they wanted to do last year, but that got shelved, as well as the pipe structure. They were entertaining this pipe structure last year as well, and went through ideas using the system. Here on this model, I think, if you guys correct me, there's nowhere near 500 tags flying in the wind. The idea, as they stated, as Andrew stated, these tags would swivel one side being still silver, aluminum, and glinting in the wind. So there would be an excellent kinetic element that doesn't need much wind to flow. The structure is, I mean, engineering wise, it's yeah, I think it's basically like a fence in a sense. So fence uprights and has the crossbars. So we feel very confident that it would withstand the elements well. It's very transparent, for lack of a better term, a lot of openings so wind can travel through this. This Dyneema rope that they have found is, I don't know, can somebody had the specs on that, what that could withstand? Could you guys share that? Dyneema rope? Anyone?
It was over 1,000 pounds tensile strength, easily. I need to go find the exact number if you give me a hot moment.
Yeah. So yeah, if they, well, they have to still go back to the drawing board and figure out what their budget's going to allow them to do. But they have this general idea about, is it going to be four-sided and they don't get powder coating. They're really interested in the powder coating for the color element in the pipes. However, it is a quite pricey element, and also lends to fabrication time. So they have to put their order in relatively quick. It'll take a month to get the parts, and at least that's what the manufacturer says. Who knows? It could take longer, right? These things are sometimes unpredictable from companies. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I think they're strong. If you wish them to go back to the drawing board and come back again, they're always welcome to do that. Or I think it's been years since they had this concepts that were revisited and worked out. They're coming to you after a point of really working out pretty much all the kinks. So they would love to get the pass today, but we'll leave that to you all to decide.
Understood. Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I trying to understand just, how many details were left sort of hanging out there to be finalized before this thing went live. So that was kind of the nature of my question at this juncture, but I'll step aside at this point. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Samantha?
Color is still undecided. So
okay, we'll take that into consideration when we're kind of thinking about it. I have an idea on that, but Samantha?
I have no question, but I do want to say thank you to the mentor and the student to bring this project forward to us. It's well presented and it's well thought out. You have my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. Brian?
No questions, but I just want to echo what my colleagues have said. I love this project. I love the work you all have done, and it's exciting to see you guys back here again this year. I'm especially excited that you all have brought back this idea of the aluminum discs because I remember that from last year. I think it's a great element that incorporates some interesting movement and even potentially some sound, possibly, depending on how close they are. Which I think would be great, because the great thing about this project is kind of the different ways you can experience it. Obviously, from the road is most likely. So I like that, the powder coating option on that, so you can get some color and get some real presence there, seeing it from the road. But people walking along the trail, and of course people on their boats, are all going to experience it in different ways. So I love that you've incorporated all these kind of different elements about us, and the kind of swaying and the kind of relaxed nature of the disc. I think is really great, and I love that you are going to incorporate members of the community, especially the kids who are going to help decorated, I guess, if you could say so. Great job, guys.
Thank you, Brian. Staff, can you go to slide 12, please? So the only thing great presentation. The only thing I was thinking about with the color, if you know, powder coating, because this is a very, you know, it's a temporary structure, you know, it's a folly basically that is, powder coating is going to be very expensive. So I mean, have you guys looked at just doing like Rust-Oleum spray paint where you guys paint it yourself and can get, I mean, they have a rainbow of colors as well. I mean, have you guys considered that as an option to, I mean, save a little bit of money there or a lot of bit of money?
Can I just defer to one?
Yeah, I'd like one of the students to answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got that pop up, so that's why I just.
Is any student want to take that?
I think we were leaning away from it just for worry of it chipping in case we wanted to move this at all. But we were also considering vinyl instead of the powder coating, which I believe would be less expensive.
Okay. And then my second question is in reference to that moving aspect of it. One thing with the pipe, I'll warn you, you know, it's not going to be as rigid as wood in the connections that wood will have. So I mean, is this something you guys are going to assemble offsite usually, right? And bring up on a barge or a boat over to the middle spillway. The only thing I would take into consideration is, you know, those top pieces, if this is the final model here, you know, you have good support on the bottom, but those top pieces are going to want to move. You know, I don't know how strong these connections are. Maybe they're good. I'm not familiar with the push to connect connectors. But that would be the only thing I'd consider is, you know, if you do plan to move it, you may need to, you know, assemble it in pieces and then put it together there, just as a thought. But otherwise, I think the design will come together. I do think the color is important. So I do think we need to find a way to keep the color in the project. I would hate for it to, you know, be value engineered out, basically. That's my biggest fear. So I would say the color is very important. And I think if you keep with the, you know, you guys are kind of looking at 3 primary colors, which I think is a good option. I'd hate to see that disappear because of budget stance. So I was just throwing out other ideas with the Rust-Oleum as an option. Worst case. Otherwise, does anyone have any other questions, comments?
Can I just, I have one of the students concept that actually we went in this direction. He's wanted me to just state the open project he feels is more effective with the discs to be able to see. Again, we're concerned about the structural integrity as well. They have to build it in the school parking lot. I just wanted to remind you all that. So there's always engineering issues in the students' parking lot. Okay, so that's if it doesn't sway there, then they're back to the engineering drawing board. But we feel confident with the product, seeing that what they've done with Simple Build before. So, but you're absolutely right. We don't know until we get it, and having them put it up in the parking lot, they learn a lot in that stage before it even goes out to the lake. So they're hoping to get to that as quick as possible. So they got to get their product. So.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, hopefully, yeah. And if anything major comes up, you know, let us know. But otherwise, we're pretty flexible. Especially with the, you know, the art installation, it's usually we're not too strict. I just think the one thing that I think they're still trying to figure out is kind of how to make those tags basically not bunch up together. How to really hang them so there's space so people can actually, you know, see them if they get closer up on a boat or whatever, or if this thing ends up getting off, you know, onto shore at some point, right? And they can actually physically see the tags later on. So I think those are still things that you guys will work through. But I think we can move to an approval tonight. I don't see why not with the design the way it is. So does anyone on the board want to make oh, Margaret, I'm I see your hand. I'm sorry. Margaret from the RA board wanted to say some things about it as well. So Margaret, go ahead, take it away.
Well, first of all, I always love these presentations, and I recognize a few of your students. We have some seniors here that we're going to miss next year, I anticipate. Well, good job to all of you. You did a wonderful job as usual. Just had a couple questions. The first one being, you mentioned that this is galvanized steel. What galvanization are you going with? 30, 60, or 90? Do you know? Uh-oh, we need to, there we go.
Yeah, I think this particular company offers a finish they call a gator finish, and it I don't technically know what that means. They just said it's the widely purchased model, and it's the most durable, I think.
Okay.
So we need to.
So I would definitely double check. G60 and G90 definitely do better, do better around water than say a G30. So perhaps their gator is some type of coating that will not bump it up some. So you just may want to ask the question, especially since, as we know, this will be around water for a significant amount of time. The discs, I think, are wonderful. I love that you guys are going and getting that from, various students. Depending on your timing, you may also want to consider working with Reston Museum or Public Art Reston at their chalk festival to try and get some additional kids that maybe you wouldn't reach otherwise. So just some thoughts there. Is there any concern about the discs falling in the lake? Have we checked to see if the discs float, for example?
No, they haven't checked that, and they still haven't done the wind element, a wind test with the leaf blower. So that's coming up, but they feel confident because I hate to bring this up, but the actual sculpture that fell in the lake a couple years back had these swivels. They were using the same swivels, but the swivels that they were using did fail, but because they were using the swivels not as they were intended to be used.
Okay.
They learned a great lesson from that. Swivels are meant to have a tensile strength where the pull, as opposed to they were using them as a lateral where one was connected, there was a wind element connected on both ends. So the pull was laterally. So some of them failed that way, but the aluminum, I'm sure, will not float. But the discs are so small and so light. We feel they'll hold on to these swivels like the larger elements they used back. The sculpture was called Cerebral.
I remember it. It was beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
So just something maybe to test for, just to consider, to be aware of. And then just two last things. One is I think this open concept is wonderful. I share Chairman Wood's concerns a little bit with the top. I think your rope may address that and it won't be an issue. Otherwise, you could potentially just do, 2 bars on either end at the top just to connect them together. I don't think you would potentially need much more than that. So I think it's wonderful. The other thing is in your conversations with your supplier, have you discussed securing the price? And the reason I ask is I do work in the steel industry and prices are rapidly rising, and I do not want you to get an unforeseen hit in cost due to that.
Yikes.
Yeah. Like every day, like we no longer will, we're telling people get your stuff in now. So I just want to make sure if you have not secured the price, if you're able to, you should. And otherwise, I would consider adding a buffer into your estimate. But those were my questions. Thank you for indulging me, Chairman Wood. I appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing this on the lake. It looks wonderful.
No worries. Thank you, Margaret. I didn't know you were so knowledgeable on steel. So now I know. Now, if we have any other steel projects, I'll make sure to get your opinion in. So does anyone want to make a motion? Any other further comments? Staff, we didn't have any affected parties on this, did we?
I think one of the students.
No affected parties.
Okay, I only asked because there's somebody raising their hand, so I just didn't know. I didn't know who that was. Somebody named Sammy, but I don't know who that is, so I don't know whether to acknowledge him. Mr. Rando, do you recognize this Sammy? Is that a student of yours?
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, that's Sammy. Sammy, you have something to say, Sammy?
Yeah. If we're gonna like use Rust-Oleum cans, I can go to my local Michaels and like take photos of like the prices of the cans, so we can compare to like the powder. That okay?
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely think that'd be helpful.
Thank you, Sammy.
You're welcome. Also, my Michaels closes at 9 and it's 7:30, 7:40 right now.
No worries. We wouldn't need that tonight, Sammy, but appreciate the effort. That's very thoughtful of you. So does any member have any other further comments? Want to make a motion? If not, I'll make a motion. All right, I'll motion to approve the application as submitted. And just request that the students send in the final design and final decision on the string and the medallions or whatever the final pieces are going to be, and kind of the spacing and kind of how that's going to work out. So that way we have it for our records. But otherwise the project's approved to keep moving forward. Do I hear a second? And just to clarify, that would just go to staff just for record. It wouldn't go back to a board meeting or anything. So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Mr. Chairman, before you called that vote, if I may, did you want to add any additional commentary with regard to the color, finalizing the color in question?
I think that's kind of the final design. I think once they pick, include the final color decision.
Fair enough.
And I think that'll be good enough for our record, so we, can see. But I think we kind of see which way they're going with it, so I think it's adequate. So there's a motion, a second, some discussion. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes 6-0. No, 5-0. 5-0. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Staff, have we had any other members join on? Elena, or I'm trying to go through here.
No other members joined, just the 5. Elena said she wasn't going to make it, and John also.
Right, but that would put us at 7, and then Sarah's no longer. That's 8. So who else are we missing?
Emily.
Emily. Okay, so Emily said she wasn't making it either.
I haven't heard from Emily. I tried to reach out to her, but we haven't gotten a response.
Okay, cool.
She's traveling through the 21st.
So the reason why I bring it up is applications G. Well, let's first start with application G because it's a little bit simpler. That is an appeal that we do not have quorum to make the appeal, or we won't be able to vote on it because we do not have enough members who have to not abstain themselves. So I was hoping some other people would join while we were waiting on that presentation. We are going to have to defer that to the next full design review board meeting because of that. So I'm going to make a motion to defer application G due to not having a design review board quorum to hear the appeal. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All right, so all those in favor of that motion say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes 5-0. Apologies, Whisperwood. We just didn't have enough members that would be able to vote on that. So my apologies, but hopefully we'll get to it next month. Application H, we're in a similar issue, but I wanted to clarify the meeting minutes from last full board meeting, because the way I'm reading it, I'm getting very confused, and maybe I'm just misreading it. But I thought we accepted the appeal on this. But am I hearing that motion did not actually go through? Is it because John dropped off and we didn't have enough people to vote?
That is correct.
Okay, yeah, because the meeting minutes are a little bit confusing, because it says we accepted the appeal, but then it says upon granting the appeal, reviewed the matter anew, the motion failed with the votes recorded as follows. And maybe oh, that was the motion I made. I understand. Gotcha. Okay. So same situation, unfortunately, for application H. We do not have enough people here to make a quorum to vote on the appeal. So we will need to defer that one as well to next board meeting. I will make a motion to defer application H to the next available full board meeting as well. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes. So staff, the only thing I think we need to make sure, and I know it's not your guys' fault, we just obviously need, from before next meeting, just so we don't have this happen again, we need to make sure to confirm attendance as best as we can. And if no one is responding, I know you guys call people and get on it. I'm not saying it's your fault at all. But I'd hate to have these people come again and get deferred again. So I just want to, double, triple check that people are going to be showing up next meeting. All right. My apologies once again to those applicants, G and H. Hopefully we'll be able to hear from you guys next week or next month. Moving on to application I, which is 11229 Leatherwood Drive. Are the applicants here?
I was not able to identify them prior to the meeting, so if you're here, please raise your hand or say something in the chat.
I do think they're here. Yeah,
iPhone 97, he's waving his hand.
Yeah, and I also think it's the 571 number. I recognize it from last time since I've seen it before. I do know he calls in on his phone.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
John? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Yes. Great. So I know you've been here a couple times. Thank you for coming back again. We much appreciate it. I think you have a landscape plan to kind of walk us through for where you're wanting to plant this new trees / green fence. If you could walk us through that, that would be very helpful.
Sure. Regarding the fence, as the DRB recommended, we are putting between the two evergreen, the Mahonia winter sun, which there is evergreen and is a bush. Make it in December yellow flower, which they make it very beautiful. Also from the looking in the winter. I made a circle on the right side down the plan that while the circle, what is the meaning of the colors? The name of the tree is in the circle at the top and the size is at the bottom. On the left side is the leaves color in the summer. And on the right side is leaves color in the fall that you can visualizing what is going on the approved the trees from the past. For the new tree, last time they said all evergreen is gonna look a wall and it should be a distance. And then they did a 10 feet between two evergreen, and then between the two evergreen, one Mahonia winter sun.
And then you also adjusted the landscaping along the left-hand side of your property, if you're looking at your front door, where you removed all of those green giants that were planted, and you kind of have a mixture of deciduous trees. I guess one magnolia, technically, I think that's evergreen. You kind of switched up the left-hand side, correct, as well?
Yes, this is after the magnolia, start the number 6, and then following that is no trees over there. That was no trees over there. It's all new trees.
Okay, great. All right, let me see if the affected parties want to say anything, and then we'll go around the board and ask you some questions. Okay, Sean, thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Staff, are the affected parties still wanting to?
We don't have any updated affected party statements, but Kathy is here. We'll ask her to unmute.
Great.
Hi. I had a couple of things to say about the choice of trees. When the report was sent out from the DRB hearing the last time, Cam Adams made a little map of the corner where my property and Catherine Rosen property comes in with Mayor's, of putting 8 or 9 different evergreen native plants up in this corner up here. Not just all this trees on a straight line, but the yellow trees are already here, the yellow circles, but more to restore the natural area. This isn't just something that we look at, it's a habitat for birds and animals. And putting in more trees in this corner would restore the privacy to my backyard. And it would certainly do a lot for restoring privacy to Patty Rutter's yard as well. That's what I'm asking, is a plan that looks more like the little schematic that Cam Adams drew that came out with the decision that you sent out after the last hearing. Not just 2 trees, not just the Mahonia and the, what the other kind of, the green one, the tall green arborvitae, but a group of trees that would fill in this corner right here, of different kinds of trees, not just 2 trees, maybe 6 or 7 different kinds of evergreens. The lady who is the landscape architect suggested camellias, rhododendrons, native rhododendrons, azaleas that, you know, they don't have to be tall trees, but they need to be up 5 or 6 feet. That would take care of it. That's my suggestion. The rest of it is okay.
Okay. Thank you. Any other affected party stuff?
I'm not able to identify anyone, but if anyone is here on behalf of the project, could you please raise your hand? 11229 Leatherwood as an affected party. I don't see anyone.
Okay. Let me go around and see if anyone has any questions. Camelia, did you have any questions?
No questions here. Thank you.
Mike B.
Nothing here, sir. Thank you.
Samantha.
No questions. Thank you.
Brian.
No questions.
So my question is, so there was a you know, a suggested map of trees that we put out to you, sir, kind of in a mixture of hollies and skip laurels and some other more native stuff. But you're still coming back with all of these green giants. Did you consider any of the other options that we suggested, or?
Maybe I didn't understand the suggestion. I thought the suggestion is that I am selecting some of them and then putting on uh, mm, the green fence. I'm really open for that one. If you make it a decision, and then I'm going to go through that one because really I try my best. I work with the Meadow Farms again, and they scheduled for March 26th. They said if it is so many trees, then you need a watering and other stuff. And if the coming after March, after April is going to be very difficult to keep them. What is your suggestion? Give me a suggestion. I'm going to do it that way that you're making the suggestion. I'm going to need something privacy. The neighbors next to me already they put about 8 of these evergreens, and I think that was not no bush, nothing between those trees. I think this make for me more complicated through the neighbors. The one they can do it, I cannot do it. But I'm open for any suggestion, anything that I can go forwards.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I felt like we provided at least I provided it wasn't a perfect map, but at least it had a mixture of arborvitaes, hollies, skip laurels, rhododendrons, all of kind of what I thought could work to because the issue is normally if you were just planting a bunch of trees, we'd all be all for it, right? The issue was here is that there was essentially the native habitat, or let's call it natural forest area, where our guidelines really, if you interrupt or disturb those type of environments, we really want you to put back similar native species. So that way the same animals, the same squirrels that lived in the one tree or the same birds that lived in the trees that were there can go back, right? Arborvitaes, they're not very, very friendly to animals from a natural environment. It's not a tree that just grows in the woods around here. So that's why I'm okay with some of them in some locations. I think it's an appropriate screening material, but I think in other times it's not a fully appropriate screening material. So that's where we were, presenting a couple of the other ideas with some of the hollies, which still does a very similar effect, but is gonna be a evergreen. It's gonna be thick. It's gonna do screening very well. They don't quite grow as fast as skip laurels, but they do grow and they're natural in this area. The other question I wanted to ask you was, did you see that part where we recommended the Pachysandra for the hill that's under the trees along the roadway where there was a bunch of understory and under vegetation all cleared out?
Which part can you show
So the
me?
area along the roadway. So if you look at Leatherwood Drive, there's all that little embankment hill, which was disturbed and all the vegetation was taken out. We had suggested to plant in around there Pachysandra, which are basically little green ground covers to help stabilize the soil. It's something that'll grow great in shade. It'll spread on its own. It's non-invasive, and we had recommended that as an option for underneath of those trees, but I don't see that area as being addressed.
So next to the road, you mean?
Sort of next to the road, but more on the hill. So if you're looking at from the road, there's the hill. Staff, let me go to a picture. Slide. So like if you go to slide, well, that's not, I don't know if that's slide 37, 30, 36, maybe 36 kind of shows it.
This is the roadside, this one.
Yeah, is this Leatherwood?
Yes.
From Leatherwood?
Yes.
So
Yes.
here in the original application, which, at this point was a long time ago, this whole hill was growing with understory, and then it was completely all removed from what I recall. Like slide 81, staff, gives a better representation of hillside that I'm talking about. And the hope was that we could replant some of this with just ground covering to help stabilize all that soil, because the trees there will help, but there was a lot of trees and small little bushes and stuff taken out that without those growing actively, all that soil over time is just going to erode away.
Okay, what small plant are you recommending?
We were recommending Pachysandra as
Pachysandra?
an option
Okay.
to go underneath of there.
Yeah. Now, how many I should put it in that is coming to satisfaction?
I mean, I had put 100. I don't know how many it's going to take. They come in like little trays of, I think 12 or 20. I'm not a landscape architect, so I don't know, but I think they come in trays of 12 or 16, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And they go in quick. They just use a shovel. You dig a 2-inch hole and you plop it in, and it's done.
Definitely, I'm going to put 100. There's no problem.
Okay, so the thing is that I just want to make sure that we have a good plan. The plan is is that we keep getting back here where we're not getting quite. I appreciate your effort. You keep trying to go back. I do like the idea of, having the plant in front of the arborvitae to help give a little bit of color, give a little bit of different aesthetic to that. But we're still not quite creating that natural environment that I was trying to get, at least in the back.
Are you talking about the fence right now?
Yeah, I guess I'm talking about the arborvitae, the green fence, if that's what we keep calling it in this application.
Okay. Do you think if, for example, every other tree has to be different and then continuously repeating, or what we should do?
I am mostly worried about kind of the back left area, which was the natural area before. I think if you want to do the arborvitaes with the bushes on the right-hand side, you still have. I'm trying to look at my previous plan, because I think that back left corner where we're planting the maple. So this says 3 count. Are you planning to plant 3 maples or just 1 maple?
This is here: Autumn Blaze Maple, Magnolia, Southern Little Gem, Blood Good Japanese Maple, Ginkgo Sabotuga, Eastern Redwood, Parotia Persica.
Yeah, like the redbuds. That's a great tree. That's a great tree. That's local to this area.
Yeah, I think last time these all 8 trees was accepted. The only things was not that was about the green fence. Because last time that was they said everything is in Virginia native and everything was good.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a miscommunication, but not quite. I mean, if you look at there was a little sketch that kind of went out with the decision letter that had basically circles and little notes, and it's essentially all of those notes were to replace the green fence, not necessarily go in front of the green fence. So there was a plan to use these other style of local rhododendrons and skip laurels and things that can create that natural more environment without having to plant 40 arborvitaes along your property line, because I just think it's too many, and it's not recreating that area that we're trying to recreate with the native area. I wish Emily was here to help us with this.
There's a Mahonia Winter Sun. There's a 23 bushes. And then the green giant is 21 trees. It is something that is still too much.
I think it's a little too rigid there against the back. It would be nice to get a little more variety back there. I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's creating some screening and things like that, but I wouldn't mind. Yeah, if we start to take one out here and there and replace it with some of the ones listed in the decision letter from last time.
Is it anybody that I can go over there and then we're going to make it the plan, give it to the Meadow Farms that they can go forwards with the trees? I am open to all suggestions.
Did you give them that plan that we sent you in the decision letter last time?
I discussed with them, and they read the letter, and then they created this plan.
Okay.
Especially, they said there's the evergreen of the other side by the neighbor, and they try to match that one with the bush between the. If you see the existing evergreen over there, green giant, and then we put the bushes, the Mahonia winter sun, that they create still with existing trees this similar footprint.
Okay. Let me go. Trying to find. There's some pictures. I guess what's the struggle is if you go to like staff, if you go to slide 63 as an example. So this is to the right side of your driveway. So if you look at all those bushes there, so that's a mixture of, there's some pines, there's some hollies, there's a bunch of natural native understory stuff underneath of the bigger trees to kind of create this natural environment. That is what we're trying to recreate. What you're creating right now is just putting a bunch of trees along these property lines, which are not necessarily native, and they're not creating that environment again. It's very similar to what someone might do if they have if it's a bare site in, let's say it was an old farm and they turned it into a subdivision and somebody wants privacy, they're going to plant 20, 30 arborvitaes around the perimeter of their backyard. And unfortunately, that's not quite the look that we're trying to go for from a landscaping perspective in Reston. In pockets, arborvitae's fine. If you have pockets of 3 to 5 of them, and that's what I was trying to show on my plan that we sent with the last decision, is if we have pockets, and I'd be happy to try to do a cleaner one to help resolve some of this, but we can't keep having this back and forth every single time because I don't know how much more to communicate it.
I need help because what you can see it here, it is very simple. Right now, if you're taking a picture, everything is flat. There is nothing there. Only at the summer and then the spring, there are coming some vegetarian coming out. The fence, it is totally different. I requested the wooded fence, they didn't accept it. Everybody has it. I asked the other type of the fence, they didn't accept it. They recommended I have to have a green fence. And I follow the rules and regulation. I said, okay, now I am asking for the green fence. And last time they said, no, this is all green giant. This is not good. It's better to put a bush between them. I try to make it I am following the rules and regulation and make it everybody happy. Now, I am still open. What do you want to do? If you need more bushes, that area, I'm going to add more trees. It doesn't matter to me. It is better for me. I didn't do anything because the wall that is previously the other owner, they put it in and it is not by code and then falling down the stone. I have to redo the retainer wall. And if I'm putting any plant, it's going to get damaged. This is the next time I can, if I have the retainer wall, then I'm going to add more bushes that area that come to the natural look. But I need the green fence that I have some privacy, that not everybody look in my yard. And the other neighbors, they have all different type of the fence. They have a privacy fence 6 feet tall. They have a 4 feet wooded with a screen. They have all type. This is the only property that doesn't have any fence, and they are not allowing to have it. I don't know why. It is me. And I am trying to have some privacy for my yard to make it that everything looks good for me too, because I cannot look every day on the 6 feet tall fence or the one shed that is next to my yard, very close to my border, or other fences and other stuff. Please help me. I am open to all plan that is you're asking. But I need also a green fence to put it in. It makes more natural as the wooded fence.
Yeah. So I'm trying to go back to your application to see, because I mean, I don't think we ever said you couldn't do, I mean, you can't do a 6 foot. Staff, do we know why there's that existing 6 foot privacy fence on the back left corner? And why that exists?
You said a 6 foot privacy fence?
Yeah. At 11227 Leatherwood Drive. I think it is that one. I'm not sure.
That is between 225 and 223.
Because I guess what I'm saying, and I think this is where we're misunderstanding each other, is the green fence that you're proposing, the way that you have them in a line, that is something that, unless they're put into pockets, is not something that I am going to support on the board from a continuous just planting 20 trees in a row. If that clears it up like that, what I was trying to propose with my sketch was basically clusters of hollies and clusters of arborvitaes, clusters of skip laurels, clusters of rhododendron, etc., to create an illusion of a green fence and privacy, but not really a true tree.
Okay,
And so I think that's where the miscommunication is happening.
Okay.
And to me, if you were doing a regular fence that meets our guidelines, you could put in a fence. It may not give you the privacy because we have some exceptions of why you can put in a 6 foot fence, and that's why I'm asking why.
No, I never requested 6 foot. I requested 2 times the 4 foot, but they didn't accept it. You recommend that I am doing the green fence. That is why it came to my mind. Okay, I'm going to do this. My neighbor, 11225, they have the mix of evergreens, about 8 of them, and they have the regular 4 feet fence. That means so irregular, but I don't mind. I would like right now, I spent money, I paid the deposit, and I cannot get my deposit back. I should do the green fence. Now, if you said, okay, put the 6 different bush and trees in the row and then start again 6, make a repeat that sections, I can do it. Just give me the recommendation. I go to the Meadow Farms. I say, look, this is the what I need, and they're gonna do it.
Okay. So what I can do is I can try to do another go on the sketch, but the big thing is basically creating. I just want to make sure you understand that I'm not, and once again, I'm one person on the board, but I have just. The reason why other people could do, let's say if I wanted to go in my backyard today and plant 8 arborvitaes, right? I technically could go do it because I don't need approval. But the issue is that you took down trees in a natural habitat. And so that's what's causing this issue. Typically, if you wanted to do this ahead of time and you had a property that you were able to do it on, you could just go do it. But because there was a complaint, and then there was an investigation, and they decided that a natural habitat had been, taken apart or down. That's where we are, or why we are where we're having to figure out where these trees go. So, that's the trickiest part. So I just want to make sure that you're kind of aware of where we're coming from on our decision. I don't think we're going to come to a resolution where you're going to be able to plant trees in a week. I want you to be able to, but I don't know if that's feasible because we just don't still have an approvable plan in my opinion. The other board members may disagree with me. Margaret, do you have your hand raised? Do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Wood. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to point out that it also may be beneficial for the applicant, and you can reach out to RA staff or even myself as an RA board member. we have a Master Gardeners Club in Reston, and they would potentially, I have heard, be willing to come out and meet with you on property to help you understand what might be beneficial, what might be needed, and help get to a better place than where you're at today. And the nice thing is if you're working, it sounds like with Meadow Farms, they will swap out plants. So if just because you've made a deposit on a certain type or a certain kind, they are honor swaps for different types of plants. So that piece shouldn't be too concerning. I do understand that you want to get them planted in the time frame that they're recommending, but I think that I've had a tree planted in my front yard due to RA requirements. And it didn't get done till like May or June. So it's not unreasonable. Obviously, they're telling you the best case scenario. But I think if you would be willing to work with one of the master gardeners in Reston, you might be able to get this done and finished quicker. Hope that helps.
Yeah, they're gonna also come and work with the Meadow Farms, because the Meadow Farms is open if I am switching the trees, because I said it needs the approval from DRB. And they said, okay, my contract is that if the DRB asks for switching some trees, they're gonna do it.
Okay. Yeah, and I think like just as a simple switch that I feel like could easily happen on, clumps of 5 is switching from arborvitae to an American holly. It's a simple, quick switch. They plant in the exact same size. It's the exact same size tree. Like that would be a good plant to switch. So I hate to do this, but I do think we're still not quite there. And it sounds like there's potentially a resource that is willing to help, that Margaret hopefully is going to help spearhead and get him in contact with the Reston master gardeners, because I want to make sure, you're spending a lot of money, and so I want to make sure that it's spent wisely, and I'm sure so do you, right? And
yes, that's correct. Yes.
So as much as I hate to do this, I just think we need to defer it again one more time, and allow a more variation of plants.
Removing the green giant and then placing American
and you don't need to
hollies.
remove them all. You can have still clusters of them in like the key areas where you feel like you may need screening. Fine, right? Like let's say you want to screen that shed that you don't want to look at, or you don't want to look at that fence and you want to screen it. Sure. But I want to make sure that you have just clumps of them and not just full-blown rows of the trees. That's the key with the plan. So there's a motion to defer the application to allow further study based on our comments tonight. Do I hear a second?
Mike Beal, second.
All right. Any further discussion on that? Sorry, I know there was a lot of discussion there with not any.
I'm nervous about a deferral because like you said, this case has come forward so many times, and I'm nervous about another deferral, and I wish I did. I don't know how it's possible and how we get there yet, but I do wish we could get to some kind of actionable step to help the homeowner. I think we've seen progress in the sketches. I mean, for a long time we weren't seeing any progress, so we're seeing some progress tonight in the proposed plan. It needs some changes, no doubt, but that is progress, and there's willingness to work to make revisions and work with Meadows Farms. I don't know if it's possible to. I don't know if we just reference the sketch that was previously provided. But I wonder if anyone else agrees, if it's possible to somehow get this to an actionable step instead of deferring again.
Yeah, the only thing that I wasn't super happy that I realized on that sketch was that right corner Or wait, no, I did address. I always get confused with this house, the way it's organized. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Brian. I just worry. I don't know.
I will say I do have a master gardener who is confirmed, who is willing to work with him and has connections at
Meadow Farms.
Meadow Farms. Is that who you're working with, Meadow Farms or Merrifield?
Meadow Farms.
Meadow Farms. So they are willing. They understand what you guys are asking for. So if that's something, I would ask that staff put the applicant in touch with me so I can get them in, so that I can get them in touch with the master gardener.
Perfect.
I think I know, Brian, what you're trying to do. I think it's going to be too messy to try. And I, frankly, I'm not a master gardener. I'm not a landscape architect. I'm the one who put that plan together. And, I was just going off feedback that I was getting from Emily during the meeting, and it was a pretty ad hoc plan. So I'd prefer if there is a professional who's willing to help, which it sounds like there is. If it comes back to us again for some reason without any updates, then I think we can look at either just a denial or saying, hey, this is what you need to implement, kind of thing.
Then is it possible to maybe amend the deferral to include to include some actionable steps that are part of the deferral in terms of working with the Master Gardeners Club, and then coming back to the next board meeting or resubmitting in 30 days or something like that to keep it rolling in the right direction?
Yeah, and I'd love even if the master gardener could attend if they're available to attend the meeting. I don't know if that's Margaret's looking at me like I just asked for the world.
I will ask. I make no promises, but I will ask.
The big thing is making sure that we have a legible, clear plan, and that's been the struggle from this one from the beginning. So as long as it's legible and clear, and we understand what plants are going where, and kind of why, it would be helpful. So Brian, I will accept that amendment to my motion. I believe Mike B seconded. So do you accept that amendment that Brian?
I absolutely will.
All right. So there's a motion, a second. There's some further amendment to it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes 5-0. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I believe that was our last item.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of, I just throwing it out there real quick because of what Mr. Rando said for the STEAM project. I wanted to bring up if anyone was interested in bringing these full board meetings back to in person, because I do think they're more fruitful. I come from the time of where they were in person. I believe the RA board has figured out, and Margaret can chime in on this, hybrid for members. So if you can't make it in person, you could still attend on
It's actually hybrid for all. So if for some reason a board member can't make it in person, they can at least Zoom in and participate. As some of you know, I am not completely mobile, so I do the hybrid.
Oh, okay. And does it feel like it works well?
It seems to. Miss Graham, have you found that we're at least generally successful?
Yes.
I mean,
I won't say we're completely successful, but we're generally successful.
The one time I was on recently, when you go into executive session for 2 hours, it makes it a little easier. So
yeah, that piece is definitely painful. I can't argue that one.
But it's just something that I wanted to bring up because I do think, the students, that was just one application, but having that presentation in person is just so much more different of an experience. And that's the same for when people are presenting projects to us. It puts a little bit more layer of importance on it. You know, to me, the applications are more thorough. They're more ready. And we've ran into this a couple times, recently, where it feels like we're just not quite getting kind of the full Monty like we need. And so it's just an idea. It sounds like we have a way to do it hybrid. I'm sure if Cam was on here, he'd be screaming at me, but he's not here, so I'm bringing it up. And there's only 5 of you, so I'm just asking.
Screaming at you for or against it?
I'm for it. I want to.
No, is Cam for or against it? I don't actually know.
I feel like in the past he's always been anti it because of the hybrid. I think it requires extra. Does it require extra RA staff to be knowledgeable on how to run it?
Sean was on here earlier. I mean, Sean handles ours, so I don't think it requires too much more than potentially what you're doing.
Gotcha.
As far as staff, I know in general, they always tell us that they are here to support and serve. So if that is, the will of your board, then, or of your committee, sorry, if that is the will of your committee, I'm sure that they would do what was needed to make it work. And I hope Ms. Graham and Ms. Bernstein and Mr. Coffey that you are all okay with me presenting that.
Well, it was just something I'm putting out there. I still think, panel meetings are super efficient virtual, especially for the time that they're at. I want to throw it out there. If anyone has any thoughts, great. If not, you guys can all be quiet and I can shut up and we can finish the meeting. But that was just my thought.
Yeah, if the hybrid is legitimately functional, Michael, I have less of a concern as somebody who's on solo parenting, and I have, especially when these things go late, starting at 7.
Yeah.
I can't be out since my wife travels a ton. So that's my concern and has been my concern all along. But again, for the nights that she's out of town and I've got Arden tottering around behind me, then not a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if it's hybrid and I'm the only one who shows up and everyone else is virtual, then so be it. But
that'd be a heck of a thing.
Then I'll be the one who has to face them down. But to me, it would be great. Like I said, think on it. I'd love LaShonda or Patrick or whoever could send out a survey, just gauging interest on people's returning back, and just say it's hybrid. Confirm with Cam that is something that we are capable of doing, which I believe we are.
So would it be hybrid for applicants as well?
It can be for both, it sounds like.
For both.
So we do allow at the RA board level at the hybrid, anyone who wants to participate in person can. Anyone that wants or needs to participate via Zoom can. And we have a mixture of both. We often have members both online and in person. And I do, I think, Michael, I heard you say, for your panel meetings, maybe leave those Zoom. There's no reason to bring everyone in multiple times a month. But, for your full DRB meetings, it might be nice to go hybrid if staff are able and willing.
Yeah, and that's the only one I'm suggesting. I think panels are great at hybrid. I think or not hybrid, at full virtual. I was part of the fastest virtual meeting ever known to man this year, where we had about a 30-second meeting, and it was pretty glorious. So
I think I got the silver medal, but yeah, that's.
but anyways, think on it, you guys. I know you all joined the board knowing it was a virtual board. I don't know if they preface that we might go back to, in person or not. Really, I'm just concerned about when we start having these bigger, I think Reston Town Center North is getting close to coming back. Some of these other projects that are large, and trying to truly get a good review, and get a good presentation and just kind of get a good turnout. I just think it would be great to be in person for some of those larger projects that are going to have a huge impact on Reston. And so that's all I'm sounding off on you guys tonight. So keep it in mind. I won't keep anyone any longer, but anyone have a motion to adjourn?
Well, I guess before we do that, I had a question. If you you guys don't mind. Just I guess there's an open position on the board, so what's the schedule for possibly that getting filled? Is it?
As soon as they get an applicant.
I guess what I'm asking, do we have applicants? And
was Sarah so as a professional member, Lashonda? Right?
Yes.
So
That
we're
is
looking. Yeah, do we have any applicants in the Rolodex that have applied?
Not as of yet. But we will be putting advertisements out in early May for the open positions that are going to be coming forth.
Okay.
And then I guess I heard for the first time tonight that that when does John's term end? And so like theoretically there'll be 2 open positions.
Yes, June.
So yeah, so John ends June, and we already have 1 empty.
And
Okay.
yeah, Sarah had to resign effective immediately. So we'll have 2 open positions come June. John was a lay member, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so the lay members
Anybody else?
we are able to fill pretty easily, but
Anybody else close?
I think those are the only 2, right? Or no? Is
For
anyone-
for June, and then Brian, you'll be coming up in September, but
Yeah. So does that answer your question, Brian? Did you have a follow-up on it?
It does. Yeah, I'm just panel meetings with 2 are tough. Just someone, when we saw it tonight, especially, this is, a couple months in a row, we've had this weird situation where we've had to defer cases. So now we've had cases that have been deferred multiple times. So it's tough. And the same thing happens on panel levels when you only have 3, obviously. And if someone's out and we're down to a 2-member panel. So anyway, so that's what I was asking, just about the schedule in terms of how quickly we think those positions might get filled. But it sounds like it might be out a little bit.
But staff is definitely requesting the waivers, reaching out just to make sure that we have those so we can move things forward.
Yeah, because so Elena and Emily's panel is down 1, right? And then
It was Elena and Mike B.
Oh, Elena
together.
and Mike B.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're next week, so
Okay.
if anybody feels like pulling double duty.
Well, if keep that in mind, if anyone is available to fill in on Tuesdays, I know my Tuesdays are always busy the day that I don't have these because I have other things going on, but we can always, if you have a free Tuesday, let us know so we can try to get plugged in. I know Brian and I's panel will need an extra person. Hopefully John will finish out his term with a couple more meetings that we do have, but and then whoever can fill in for Sarah.
And just a reminder, there is a goal and hope that there will be a combined RA-DRB meeting this calendar year
Okay.
to, so if there are changes that you all think need to be made or should be considered or anything, rather than having, do you have 4 3-panel meetings? Is that how, or is it
We just have three panel meetings each
3
month.
3-panel? Okay. So, just if there are things that you think should be considered for change, that would definitely be a time to bring them forth to the RA board to discuss.
I think our process works fine right now. I think the issue is that we've moved a lot of stuff over to be staff or consultation reviewable. That was bogging down panel meetings. I don't think, like we said, a lot of us have had relatively short panel meetings. We also having the voting by acclamation, I think, has also been a great thing. So panel meetings really are not the issue. It's more of just getting people to the panel if they haven't if the members haven't signed the waiver. That's the issue. But I think
And I have someone that's willing to apply for a lay position, so when that comes up, but not suggesting anyone here resign in any form or fashion or not re-up in any form or fashion. This is just extra.
Yeah, well, we do have a lay member who's not renewing, so there's
Right.
one spot available. But all right, cool.
So sorry, last question, Steph. Are you reworking like the consultation schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Since it
Just
was
make sure
brought
we're
up for next week, it looks like it will be a two-person panel, and we have waivers from about half of the applicants. I'm pushing for more, but if someone did want to jump in, that's always appreciated. Just something to think about. You don't need to tell me now.
Yeah, see, like I can't.
I'll throw it out there. 422 is also a two-person panel if anyone wants to sign up for that one. I'm also pushing for that one too, but as of right now, that is also Mike B and Elena's panel, and it is a two-person, but that one is in a little bit more than a month. So yeah, I figured I'll just throw it out there. If we're mentioning, if anyone wants to hang out with us on 422, let us know.
Okay.
I'll be there. Oh wait, I had to be there anyways.
You had to be there anyway.
Oh,
Unless you call out.
Thanks for nothing, Mike.
thanks for nothing.
Just throwing it out there. 422 is also another two-person. I believe that most of Mike B's panels, just for future reference, until we do get it, I do believe most
Well,
of his
they'll all be two panels.
Well, yeah, the only two panels are the last meeting of the month. So it's the week after full DRB for future reference, I believe, is how the schedule is aligned for now.
Until June, and then Brian and I will need help. So,
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, let's not keep anyone any longer. Do I hear a motion to defer or not defer?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, thank you guys.
Thank
Have
you
a great
all.
night,
Have a
all.
wonderful
Have a good
evening.
evening.
Good night.